everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on NDNU, and this is hosted by MSM. And we would like to welcome all our attendees. While all of you are joining, we would just like to let you know that we are very excited about a very new partnership, which is with Notre Dame de Namur University. And this is our new inclusion, and we are very excited about our launch. And we wanted all our MSM agents to get a glimpse of what exactly NDNU has to offer and how NDNU can help your students to become future leaders tomorrow. And also NDNU's location, which is in California. I think that's the most wonderful thing about NDNU, especially in Silicon Valley. So I'm sure, our speakers who are there today, I will introduce them, and they're going to throw light about NDNU, the programs, what they have to offer, and it's fantastic, and it's going to be great learning. And what I would recommend is, have as many questions as possible, which you have already posted to me. But ask your questions, ask your queries, and we are more than happy to answer during the session. So let's make the session as interactive as possible. And first and foremost, I would introduce myself. Yes, my name is Sheena Virmani. I am the Senior Manager, Global Marketing Office for US Division at MSM, and I'll be the moderator for today. And I am very delighted and pleased to introduce our NDNU team. Here we have Dan, we have Patrick, and they come with a lot of experience in the industry. They directly look after the recruitment process for international students, and they have a lot to talk about NDNU in today's session. So before I hand over the platform to Patrick and Dan, I would just like to run through a few housekeeping requirements that are very important for today's session. So as a reminder, everyone will be on mute. And whenever you have any questions that you want to ask, please make use of the control panel. There's a Q&A tab. You can ask us your questions, your queries. And of course, this webinar is recorded. So the entire recording will be shared with you on your email once the session is over. So that's about it. So let's start today's webinar. Over to you, Patrick, for the session. Let me just share my screen as well for the presentation.
Thank you, Sheena, and thank you, MSM, and welcome to all the agencies. I'm very excited to be here. I will say that the value proposition for NDNU that you can present to potential students and parents is for a very reasonable price. The students come and study in Silicon Valley for 1 or 2 years, and all of our graduate programs have an OPT. Some are from 1 year, other OPT are for 3 years. So that's really the value that we want to bring to students. My name is Pat. And I'll start the presentation, and later Dan will take over talking about some programs. Please change the slide, Sheena. Thank you. So NDNU is actually the 3rd oldest college in California. We've been around more than 170 years. It's a fully accredited Catholic master's university. I'll mention that your religion doesn't matter. We welcome all people. Everyone is welcome here. It's a true commitment of the sisters to welcome people from around the world of different religions and everything. We're located in Silicon Valley. We're about 20 minutes south of San Francisco. And we do have a train station about 1 kilometer away from campus. So it's easy access. We have small classes, and we take great pride in that, about 12 to 20 students. And to be honest, it's usually on the low end of that. It's 12 to 15. So our faculty really get to mentor the students. We think that's a very intimate and important part of the education experience. Our professors are what we call scholar practitioners. They're scholars, they're academics, but they're also practitioners. So they have working experience in Silicon Valley. They've worked for companies, they have contacts. We think that's very important. As an education institution, we're committed to hands-on community-based learning. For our international students, CPT is an option. Almost all of our international students have done a CPT experience. We have really strong relationships with companies, nonprofit organizations. One thing I'll mention here is when you become a student at NDNU, when you're admitted, you're contacted by our Writing Services and Career Services Department. And one of the initial services is helping students build a LinkedIn profile, build a resume, understand how to look for jobs and things like that. So at NDNU, we connect the academics with the career. Next slide, please. Next slide. Here you go, Silicon Valley. You can see Berkeley. If you look at the map, you can see Berkeley just near the north on the east. And then down in the south, you have San Jose. You see that airport for San Jose. In the middle, you have Notre Dame de Namur University. And this part from San Francisco to San Jose, that is what we call Silicon Valley. On the right side, you can see Uber, Pixar, Visa, Facebook, Tesla. These are some of the tech companies in the Silicon Valley area. Okay. Thank you very much, Sheena. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm going to hand this over to Dan.
Great. Thank you so much, Pat, and it's a great pleasure to speak with you all today about some of these specifics on some of the programs at Notre Dame de Namur University. And so, first of all, I'd like to talk about one of our newer programs that is run out of the School of Business and Management. And that is one of our newest master's programs, which is the Master of Science in Technology Management. And this program is structured very much like the NDNU MBA, MPA program, two other degrees that are offered out of the School of Business and Management. It's structured very similarly to be able to be completed in about 18 to 24 months. It's a 36 credit program. Classes are taught in the evening because most of our students are working professionals. They are coming for evening classes once a week or once every other week at this time. So courses are offered in eight week modules. So within one semester, there are 2 terms, 2 8-week terms. And we do support curricular practical training, which is CPT, for at least 1 semester. And there are OPT options for 3 years available as well with this major or with this degree. So just some quick details on the program design. Our new dean of the School of Business and Management, could say someone who's been with us for quite some time, has really designed an excellent program to combine theory and practice, strategy, to make working professionals really effective in the Silicon Valley and being contributors to their firms in Silicon Valley. So I just want to talk a little bit about the requirements and the required documents for the application. First of all, our application right now is there's a fee waiver on the application, so it's a great time to apply, get an application started. If you're we really like to help people come in the spring if they can, and we can do everything we can to help them. But I would say tell your candidates, don't hesitate on getting an application started. If it's for summer 2022, fall 2022, those applications are open, and we'd like to get everybody started as soon as possible. So the application is on our website, of course. One thing we require is an updated professional resume, university transcripts showing undergraduate courses, and these need to be evaluated transcripts. So we always are urging candidates to get started on that quickly, and sometimes the transcripts can take some time. So again, that's why we like to get applications started as soon as possible. It really helps us prioritize everyone's candidacy. GPA of 2.5 or above, proof of English proficiency, And the GMAT and the GRE are not required for acceptance into this program. So yes, Pat.
I see there's a question from an attendee.
Are you able to see the questions, Pat? Yeah, okay.
No, Sheena will do that, but I want to say we don't require a bachelor's in business for someone who wants to join the business program. Part of the philosophy of NDNU is what we call open access or access to education. We believe people can go into different programs at different levels and learn more things. So if your bachelor's is in English or engineering or whatever, and you want to do a business degree, we welcome you. And I give it to Sheena now because there might be questions.
Thanks, Pat.
Yes, I see there are already 3 questions. Okay, so there's a question around sharing the PPT, but yes, we will, this recorded session, you will have the PPT, so you can be rest assured about it. And all right, I see that this is just hello and that's it. So that's good. We are
Okay.
good to go to the next slide. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Dan, would you like to
Sure.
just run through the test prep?
Sure. Yeah. So these are the tests that are currently accepted as a proof of English language proficiency. So it's a TOEFL score of 80 or above, IELTS of 6.0 or above, an ITEP test 4.5. The Pearson test of English is the PTE, that's 53 or above. Cambridge English scale of a B2, and then the GTEC as well, 1175. And I think we are provisionally accepting the Duolingo, if I'm not mistaken, Pat, is that correct?
So the Duolingo has been proposed to the Academic Senate, and we hope to have an answer on the Duolingo as early as this month, but hopefully almost assuredly by the end of the semester.
Okay, so we'll make sure to get that information out to everyone as well. So any questions about the test scores? Yeah. Okay.
I'll go ahead and talk brief. Next slide. Yeah, let me go back one. What happened to CPT?
There was a C.
All right, so the documents needed for us to issue the I-20 is an 800. After you're admitted, after we say you will be admitted academically, there's an $850 deposit. There's a certificate of finance. It's about $40,000 for the year. That comes from your bank. Proof of English, passport copy, visa copy if you have one already, and a transfer in form if you're already in the States. And the $850 is refunded if the visa is denied. If the visa is denied. And the reason it's $850 is it pays for 1 credit. So it would go towards your first course. Okay, next slide. CPT.
Here you go. There's the slide here. Yeah.
Did you want to ask a question or should I go with the slide?
Patrick, we can go through the presentation and then we'll take the questions towards the end,
Okay.
I think.
So a CPT has to be related to your degree. If your degree is in business, you cannot get a CPT serving pizza. You know, if your degree is in education, you can't get a CPT as a financial advisor. It has to be related. CPT is an academic course for which the student is awarded academic credits. It counts as a class and it needs to be approved by your academic department. But it does give international students authorization to gain employment training and work in positions in their field. It can be paid or unpaid. I'll be honest with you, most of them are unpaid, but sometimes you find a company that'll pay you. Student must be enrolled full-time for at least 2 semesters. This is a DHS Homeland Security rule. There are a couple of places in the States where there's like a short 1-year certificate that might change that, but for academic institutions, you can do your CPT starting in your 3rd semester. It's enrollment in an internship course, and the employment, the CPT, is not more than 20 hours per week. And I want to talk very briefly, because CPT is authorized with your F1 visa. So you need a letter from the employer. You got to bring it to the ISO, or International Student Office. And the other thing I'll mention is, to do CPT and to do OPT, you will need an American Social Security card. This is like a magic number for everyone. And when you have the card, you can work in the US and you can pay taxes. And you will pay taxes. And this is really good for long-term immigration. If you have a record of working, earning money, and paying taxes, the American government sees that if you try to go to a different visa or stay in the States. So it's really important when you arrive in the States, you're legally obliged to bring us your I-94, which comes with when you enter the country, and you're legally obliged to give us your address in the United States. When you come to give us that information, you should apply for a Social Security card right away. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks to get, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 months. But you want that card so you can work on campus if any jobs are available, or you can do your CPT or OPT. Okay, next slide, please. OPT, or as parents call it, return on investment. And this is how it works. When you do the OPT, when you complete your degree program in the US, you're allowed to do an OPT. OPT is working at a company for pay. It's a job. Again, you need your Social Security card. Also, this is approved by the university, so you will bring a letter from the company for your employment, and we add it to your immigration record. Most OPTs are for 1 year, except in what's called STEM fields. You know, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And at NDNU, our MSTM program, Masters of Science and Technology Management, offers a 3-year STEM. And just to be clear, the 3-year STEM is actually 12 months plus 24 months. Your employer gives you a letter saying you're working for a year. Before the end of that year, you work with your employer to get 2 more years added on. So that's where you get the 3-year. And again, the OPT must be related to the degree. Next slide, please. I cannot emphasize how important it is to maintain your visa status. We keep a record of your visa status. You're being in status with the I-20, and we report it to the US government. Every university reports it to the US government. It's not a secret. As a full-time graduate student, you need to take 9 units. That's 3 courses every semester, minimum. You're allowed to take more, but you would need to take 9. You don't violate any US laws or US Code of Student Conduct. So this doesn't mean a speeding ticket. If you get a speeding ticket, you pay the ticket, but you don't want to be arrested or anything like that. Also, when you're on your student visa, if you wish to leave the United States, you want to go to Canada, Mexico, visit your mom, you need us to sign your I-20. So stay in status, understand your travel requirements. You need a valid passport, and it has to be valid for 6 months minimum. So if you want to do an OPT and you want to extend it for 2 years and your passport's only valid for 5 months, you're going to visit the Indian consulate in San Francisco and have a conversation about that. You must share your current address with us and be aware of the grace period. You are allowed as an international student to enter the United States 30 days before your program begins, and you're allowed to exit up to 60 days after your program or your OPT is completed. next slide. I don't know how we can emphasize Silicon Valley enough. It's an amazingly dynamic place to live. The entrepreneurship, the creativity, and I will say the international vibe of Silicon Valley. You've read the stories of I think the head of Google now was an international student. The guy who started Bank of America was an international student. The number of international students who do the OPT, move into a full-time position in Silicon Valley is through the roof. I will tell you that schools like San Jose State, Stanford University, Santa Clara, those NDNU, those of us who are in the heart of Silicon Valley do everything we can to connect to Yahoo, to Facebook, to Oracle, to EA, to Box, to every company you can imagine. Okay, next slide. There you go. Next. I will say for Mountain View, California, what's interesting is we stay in touch with our alumni, and we have one program called MPA, which is the Masters of Public Administration, which a lot of law enforcement study, and the police chief of Belmont, which is the city for NDNU, Mountain View, which is the city for Google, and San Mateo, all come from NDNU's MPA program. So we have a little network in the law enforcement area. Next slide. There's Apple, about 10 miles. Yeah, there you go. Next. We ask all of our agencies, all of our students to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And I will say our LinkedIn is really quite engaging. It's very active. And you'll also notice on LinkedIn, you won't be able to join, but we have an NDNU Alumni Association group, which has a couple of thousand of alumni who it's a great way to network with people. If you become an NDNU student, we would urge you to join that just so you can network with alumni about finding jobs. Okay, Sheena. Magic. Question, please.
Do you want me to just
Yeah.
answer? Yeah.
Yes.
So we have a question which was around, I think before I ask the questions, this is very interesting, I must say, Patrick, that I've been, this is the second or third session that we are doing along with, I've been attending the training, and one thing that I really like about NDNU is its location and the ample of opportunities, which is really, really good. And that's very important as an international student. One should be able to explore opportunities. It's just not about gaining an degree. An international degree is also beyond that. So that's very important, and that's really nice about NDNU.
So Sheena, let me come in here. Let me say this. Dan and I lived overseas between 10 and 20 years each. We learned languages, we got degrees. It's a transformational experience. And I think Dan and I are manifestations of that. And then the Indian students who are working at Google and Apple are the same. So we welcome the students, and thank you for the comment, Sheena.
So that's really nice. All right, so we are having quite a few questions to answer, right? So we have a question which is, will a 15-year of education be accepted for the master's program? So
You mean your question is, will a 3-year bachelor's degree from India be accepted?
Yes.
Yes, it has to go through West ECE or I think the third one we use is SpanTran or SpanTrack.
That's
and
right.
They will, and I shared this with you yesterday, they will confirm that it's a bachelor's degree. So it doesn't matter if it's a bachelor's degree from India, which is 3 years, England, which is 3 years, or Germany, which is 4 years, we can all do it.
Right. We have another question which is around in case, as an international student, if the visa is refused, will the $850, which is the deposit, would be refunded? And if that is a
Yes.
possibility?
No, it's not a possibility. It's a policy. If you're denied the visa, we'll send you back the 850. I will say, we will also write you a letter of support. If you're denied a visa, you let us know. Letter of support will come from me. I'll talk about the program, and you can defer your admission up to 1 year. But if you just want your 850 back, we give you your 850.
Right. We have another question which is around, does the university offer undergraduate programs? So, Patrick, I would like to, while we spoke about the MSTM program, would you just like to throw some light on the other programs as well? Because we know that we have a very strong MBA program, and so if you can just throw some light on it, would be really nice. And of
The
course,
answer, okay, so the answer for the undergraduate is right now, NDNU's undergraduate program is only cohort-based for people finishing at a community college in the United States. If a student's finishing a 2-year bachelor's degree at a community college in the United States, then they're welcome to come and finish their degree with us. But we're mostly a graduate institution, and we have 4 main areas. MBA, which you heard about, business. The other one is MPA, Masters in Public Administration. This is for people who are going to work for nonprofits. They're going to work for the government, things like that. The third one we have is education. So if somebody wants to be a teacher, whether in the internet, in the US or in India, if someone wants a teaching credential, a master's in education leadership, education administration, we have that. And the last one we have is a really popular program, very well known, and it's in clinical psychology. And with the focus on clinical psychology is family therapy, marriage therapy, and counseling. So those are the other areas.
thank you so much for that. So, just to let you know that we have 4 programs that are for the master's program. It's just Patrick's has mentioned. So, yes, you have quite a few options for your students that you can recommend. We have a question which says, do 4 years bachelor's degree would still a student need evaluation like a WES or any of the evaluation to be done in spite of studying a 4-year degree?
Yeah, that's an accreditation issue. It ties to the academic accreditation of the university. So that has to be done.
We have another question which is around the intakes and deadlines. So, when can we apply and what would
Well,
be the deadline?
well, let me say we're very nice people, and we want to welcome as many students as possible. We ask international students to apply at least 8 weeks early. It's a little bit so we can process the application in the I-20, but it's mostly so you can make your visa appointment, get the visa interview, get the visa, then you have to buy your ticket and everything like that. So we ask students to arrive, to apply 8 months early, 8 weeks early, 8 weeks. Having said that, we're flexible with the MSM team, and I think we could take it to 6 weeks, even 5 weeks. And if there's a student who's already in the States, 2 weeks.
Right. So, all our trusted partners, right, make use of this opportunity. You can go ahead, process your applications for the Jan cycle. Yes, Patrick, we still can go ahead and apply for the Jan cycle, right, for the spring
You're still
admissions.
welcome to apply for the January intake.
Yes. All right. I think we have answered a couple of questions. I think we've already answered. There's another question which is regarding the backlogs, and in case the student has any of has not cleared certain programs or courses, will what is the number of backlogs that are accepted? It's a question.
I'm not sure what you mean by backlog, Sheena.
So Patrick, this is like in case I am doing an undergrad degree, right? And I'm doing a bachelor's in electrical or mechanical, and due to some reason that I'm not able to clear a paper, and in the first semester, or after some time, I'm giving a second attempt and then I'm doing, so it counts as a backlog in our in India, especially that we consider that I could not clear in the first go, I'm clearing it in the second go, or maybe not even in the second go, it goes into the third year, I'm trying to clear. So if in case these students are having these kind of backlogs, say for example one paper I'm writing thrice or something like that, will that be accepted? Is that would not how many of these can be accepted is the question.
So at the end of the day, when the transcript evaluation is provided, the backlogs aren't relevant to us. If they can produce and if they can demonstrate the bachelor's, we don't look at the course for course details, but we need that for academic records. And the only program that has academic prerequisites is clinical psychology, where you need to have 4 psychology classes. And we can actually give you admission to the program if you're taking those courses while you study in our program. But we should not have a problem with backlogs.
We have another question which says, is there any scholarship for a 2.99 GPA with a 7.5 IELTS for the master's program?
So one of the great things about working at a university like NDNU, it's not a public university. We get no California tax money. We're dedicated to our students, and the mission of NDNU is to serve all. So the answer to the question is, your GPA is not a factor and your IELTS score is not a factor in scholarship distribution. We have a link on our website, Sheena has it, and admitted students fill out a form and type 1 or 2 paragraphs about what education means or what they're going to do with their education. And that form goes to a group of people, 3 or 4 people read it, and they say yes or no. The average scholarship in fall for our students was $5,000.
Right. We have another question which is around what would be the I-20 turnaround time.
Our goal is 1 business day. If you're admitted on a Friday, we want to have that I-20 out by Monday. That's our goal, but it has to be full admission and then the I-20. And as you know from the recent new law, the recent new US government law, I-20s can be issued electronically and can be signed electronically. So we're able to do that much quicker than we used to.
Super. We have another question which says, is English language proficiency mandatory for students from countries where English language is their official language? Example, Ghana, Nigeria. Would they still need the...
So that's a trick question, the way you phrased it, Sheena. Let me be very clear. On our website, there's a list of countries, and these are usually approved by the US government, on which countries have English as the language of instruction and the first language. They include Bermuda. They include, some Caribbean states. They include South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. So for Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, where English is widely spoken, the answer is no. If a university, not a student, if a university issues a letter, sealed letter on stationery from an address at the university that the language of instruction for the program was English, then you can send it to Dan and I, and we have some discretion.
Right. We have another question which says, if how much gap is accepted. So I think that question is in case the student has, after doing the undergrad, has taken a few gaps, so will they still be eligible for the master's program? Yes.
You mean a gap year or a gap in time, correct?
Yes, gap
Yeah,
in
so
time.
a huge percentage of our students are 28, 29, 30 years old. I mean, we take pride in serving all. So we want people who are there to advance their career. So we have people in our business, our education, our clinical psychology program who got a bachelor's degree 10 years ago. And they want to change careers. They want to move up in their career. They want to do something different. We welcome that. We will never ask you, how long were you between degrees? And I was 20 years between my master's and my doctorate, so forget about it.
All right. We have a question which is around what would be the financial requirements, and besides, can parents, grandparents, who can be the sponsor for the student if he or she wants to do a master's program?
So the slide, there was a slide in the presentation, and the certificate of finance required for NDNU this year for a student on F1 visa is $40,860. I think it's $860.
That's
I know
right.
it's 40,000. That's for the F1 student. For each dependent, a child, a spouse, parent, whatever, they need an additional $5,000. So if there was a student who wanted to bring two parents, they would have to show $50,000. And that's it.
And I think this is also around can the student be sponsored by the parent, grandparent for the education? Is that fine? Is that completely fine?
Yes, their certificate of finance will say where it's from and who's doing it. Yeah. And to be honest, we have students whose sponsors in the United States. They have an uncle, they have a contact, and they say, I'm sponsoring, and they provide the finance. That's welcome too.
All right. So I think Sylvia is also requiring a list of programs and the requirements in the email. Yes, MSM team will send that across to you along with this recording with all the requirements. So you can be rest assured the presentation and everything will be shared. Right. Just give me a minute. I'm just checking on a few more questions. I think there's another question. What is the English language test accepted? I think we've answered that as well in our presentation, but still, would you like to just throw some light on the English language test accepted, Patrick?
TOEFL's an 80, IELTS is a 6.0, PTE is, Dan, 53,
53.
and ITEP is 4.5. Look, I have to apologize. I have to go to the airport. So I'm going to leave the meeting, but Dan and Sheena, you're in good hands. I want to thank everybody very much, and Sheena can share any information you need. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Pat. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. I'm happy to answer any further questions here, Sheena. Okay.
So Dan, we had a couple of questions that came in from our agents earlier as well, which was around, what's the cost of living in California and when you compare to the other states, as an international student, if you can just throw some light on,
Sure.
the living expense for an international student.
So certainly, the cost of living in the Bay Area is higher than most other places in the U.S. That is true. So if you are compared to if you were studying in some place in the middle of the country, it might be a little bit more. I think there are a lot of ways that students find to economize and are in terms of really help bring the costs down. Public transportation. Finding shared housing, for example, can really reduce those costs significantly. And I would just emphasize once you're able to do that, the value is still there. I think, in terms of, being here and then having access to, for example, the great alumni network at NDNU and the faculty network. being here and being able to tap into that is part of the value, the great value of the program. So yes, it is a little bit more. I mean, if you take a look at the financial reporting documents, you can get a sense for, we list all that out. You can get a sense for the what we recommend in terms of housing for a year.
All right. Also, can you just throw some light on how the tuition fee needs to be paid by the student and how, the enrollment deposit, how is that? Do they pay semester wise or yearly?
Well, the enrollment deposit is only a one-time fee, right? So that is not per semester. That can be done in any variety of ways. Wire transfer, you know, is typical. Setting up a direct withdrawal from a bank account could be a way of doing that. So there are a variety of ways to be able to pay those. But in terms of the deposit, that is only for the first semester.
All right. Do we have any application? So application fee is waived off. That's
Correct.
right.
That's
Can you
right.
just
Yeah.
yeah.
And I would just say, yeah, please don't hesitate to complete an application. Nothing to lose by getting an application started. And it really helps us prioritize our outreach. So yeah, please don't hesitate to get an application started.
All right. Dan, would you just like to let us know the process of application and supporting documents once again? What all needs to be? Does it need to be scanned copy,
Sure.
original copy, or, the TRF form of the IELTS? So that's a question that we had from our agents that had come in.
Right. Okay. So, like many schools, we have a reporting code for most of the tests. So, you can find our code, on the link. I dropped the link into our international page. So, please find that there. I would say, one of the main things is the evaluated transcripts and getting that started early. I'm sure you all know that can take some time. So, but just in terms of the required documents, again, it's an updated resume, 2 letters of recommendation, all previous academic transcripts that are evaluated, and you can find the evaluation services that we accept on our website. And then, at that point, we put those documents together, bring it over to the program director, and then that person would reach out to schedule an interview with the student. So the interview is really that last piece. The resume and the letters of recommendation can be sent directly to me. That's fine, in an email. But the official evaluated transcripts need to arrive to us directly from the evaluating company, either by mail or electronically as they have set it up. So
Right.
yeah.
We have another question which was around would tests like GRE, GMAT give a more weightage to a student who wants to get an admission at NDNU and would boost their chances of getting a scholarship or something like that? Or how is the
Right.
weightage given?
Well, I'll just say it couldn't hurt. We're happy to include that among the application documents and pass those along to the dean and the program director. So it could put the student in a good light, if they've taken the initiative to go out and take GRE or GMAT. It's not required, but can certainly help the student's candidacy.
Right. We have another question which was around, how much of funds is required to show at the time of admissions as an international student, and how old can the funds be?
I'm sorry, how old can the funds be? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So I'll get you the exact amount here. So in terms of the funds needed for the initial I-20, it's 40,860. And Usually we're asking for bank statements that are not more than 6 months old. So they really shouldn't be, you know, older than that. I'm going to drop a I'll go ahead and drop a quick link here into the chat, Sheena. Okay. So and
Yeah.
that's directed that goes directly to the financial form, and that form has the instructions plus the amounts. It has very detailed instructions plus amounts. So if you take a look at the chat, there's a link there for more details on the
True.
financial reporting documents. And again, I would put the financial reporting documents in the same category as the evaluated transcripts in terms of getting that process started early. They don't need to wait on that. I like when those things start right away. It's usually helps the candidacy very much.
Right. So, much on a lighter note, Dan, would you like to throw some light about how is the environment, the diversity? We all know how California is. When you go, you find so many Indians, so many international students. But just on a lighter note, I would just like to know this.
Sure.
How exactly how welcoming is the NDNU community also? I
Oh,
just would like to just let us
sure.
know
Thank
about.
you. Thank you. I'd love to. Sheena, NDNU has a very long history in California, and was originally open to serve women. So that was the original mission of the university. I think that still very much informs the university's mission. In terms of the what is built in and really part of the foundation of NDNU is that openness and inclusiveness to women, to students who are new to undergraduate or graduate school in their families and their family backgrounds. A lot of first time or first generation students are coming in. So yeah, I mean, with this part of California, to a certain degree, the diversity is just part of the community and part of the feel of the community. But NDNU takes it even further with really outreaching to international students, a long history of having a diverse group of international students there. And I would just say that the value is just the value proposition I think is really incredible in terms of what I've been impressed with is the close access to professors that students have. So TAs are not teaching classes at NDNU. The people who are professionals in the field with good theoretical background and really practical knowledge in the courses that they teach. They are teaching you the class, right? And you have access, and the relationships that students build with these faculty and alumni is just incredible. Very quickly on you're meeting people who are leaders, in the Silicon Valley, from day one. Those are the people you're meeting. So I think that's an important part of what you call the feel, the feel of the place, and it's just really a jewel, here in the middle of the Silicon Valley here. It's just and we just think there's so many great things that the school has to offer. So
Right, so back to our question, we have another question which says LOR can be from the previous college or from would be accepted from the employer, last college, or how is the LOR? You know, I think that's the question around who should be recommending and how, can you take it from your college or
sure.
from your
Sure.
school?
So yeah, it can be from a college or from a work context. So if it's a supervisor, that would be a good thing. So students who are close to, who haven't had much of a gap between university and applying, they might have one or two professors who will provide the letter of recommendation. But in some cases, when students have been working longer, it just makes more sense for them to have two letters of recommendation that are professional in nature, and that's fine too. So there are no requirements on that. And certainly, I think I don't think any student is at a disadvantage for having been working for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. In fact, if anything, that I think that puts their candidacy in a good light, because we really do value the sharing that happens in an MBA or a, MSTM class. The sharing, that's an integral part of graduate school, is the sharing of the experiences of the students and your peers in the program. So um, um, yeah, so in terms of the letters of recommendation, those can be no problem. Those can be both professional or both academic, or one of each.
We'll take one last question, and then I think then we would cover most of it. It's a very interesting question. What is the ratio of Indian students in NDNU? If you can just
Okay,
throw some
okay,
light.
sure.
Yes.
That's a good question. Well, obviously, unfortunately, in the last 18 to 24 months, we haven't had many international students. So, but before that, there was a good stream, a healthy cohort of students from India. It's not large, maybe 5 to 10%, no more than that. Uh, but a good cohort of students from around the world. But at this time, some of the Indian students that would be among the first, because we're just, reintroducing international students to the US now. So.
Right. All right, Dan. I think with that, we have come to the end of all our questions, and I think all our participants have gained a lot of clarity about NDNU. So everyone who's on this call, Notre de Namur is offering master's program, MS in technology management, MBA program, masters in public administration. You have a lot of programs, and of course, easy admission process with no GMAT, no GRE. Great news, application fee is waived off, which is also something that you need to, look into. And of course, very, very important, the turnaround time for the I-20s is 24 hours if you have all the documents filed to NDNU. So I think you should make use of this opportunity to let your students know that they have a fantastic option for the masters at California, Silicon Valley, which is very, very important. I think Patrick's also mentioned the kind of opportunities, the kind of companies that are there, and how students can groom themselves. A lot of opportunities to work OPT. I think there's so much, and I don't know what more to offer. It's everything is there as a platter for the students. So I would say that please do go ahead, let your students know, apply, and let's start rolling applications in, and let's see your students on campus, and let's hear from them what they have to see say about NDNU once they reach the campus and they hit the campus. So we are waiting for your students to join. And Dan, we have a very, very enthusiastic team at MSM, our trusted partners.
Yes.
They work very closely with us. And of course, we have very, very talented, our country managers from across. In this call, also, we have our country managers from India, from Africa, from Nepal,
Yes, thank you.
Bangladesh, from Pakistan. So we have the entire team here, a very, very proactive team to promote. And of course, our agents and our management is always very supportive. So, on behalf of MSM and all our trusted partners, our country managers, our admission representatives, and service team, we would like to thank you and for your valuable time for today's session. And we have gained a lot of insight about NDNU, and we hope and have a lot of conversions after this, a lot of students to come and join NDNU. So thank you so much
Yeah.
for your time.
Thank you so much, Sheena, and we really do appreciate the partnership. I've so much enjoyed working with everyone at MSM so far, and thank you so much for taking a look at NDNU, taking a look at our website. It is really a very hidden jewel in the middle of the Silicon Valley here, and I think is when your students learn more about it and check it out, they're going to be really interested, and we really look forward to welcoming them here. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you so much, all our attendees, and we hope for a very, very successful 2022
Yes.
cycle. Thank you.
Thank you so much.